With Multivac coming in just short of our 3-cent target, what is next here for MTV? As we get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧. Right, with all that said, done out of the way, let's dive down into the charts here and take a look at what's going on with Multivac. So this is the daily chart, guys. We are just paired up with USDT like usual. And we also can review exactly, what's been going on here. A good kind of pullback from the top here. From 13th of April all the way down to the lower area of 19th of May. Now this area down here was our accumulation zone. This is where we were able to pick up a fair few million of Multivac, right? This is basically a fraction of a cent. Coming in, I think, at like 0.0028 approximately. Somewhere down here is a nice low area that we were kind of accumulating. All the way down to as low as 0.00199. Okay, so really low area where you can accumulate massive positions in MTV. Then we started to see this good surge to the upside, really coming up into just short of all-time high territory, higher than we were previously with the 1.8 cent back in April. And then we started to find ourselves coming down into this triangular wedge just here. Now, this was playing out with an Elliott triangle, an Elliott-Wave triangle. Only actually we didn't complete it. We actually only got to the D pattern. We were expecting one last pullback, one last opportunity to accumulate. But before then, we actually surged to the upside. This actually then took us into new all-time highs, right, just short of 3 cent, which is an area that I thought we were going to be heading towards just above the 2.88 cent area of the 1.618. This was an area that I thought was where we were going to be heading to before we started to see a pullback. And as we can see on this daily chart, we are in an overbought area on the Stochastic Rsi. So a daily correction on this stochastic is going to be required. Now, obviously, with that, this can be completely taken out with lack of momentum. So if we were to basically just kind of plateau right here, have a small ABC correction wave, and then actually we can continue that surge to the upside once we actually pull the stochastic down a bit. Now, we don't have to go all the way down into oversold, but again, it can happen very, very quickly, or it can happen, quite slowly. So a good example of this is that within a couple of days, we'd actually gone from an overbought to an oversold area, and then we'll continue that growth to the upside, right, quite rapidly. And likewise, it can take quite a bit of time to actually correct, as in we have this area just here back in June, where we were overbought, and it took a few days to get us into this oversold area. Now, right now, we are, of course, in this overbought area on the daily, so we are expecting an ABC correction wave to come in. And again, we'll look for support approximately around our 2.4 cent zone, and I'll get into that on the smaller time frame in a moment. And once we have that ABC correction coming in, we can then obviously consider kind of moving on up, right? Taking out the 3 cent zone and heading towards our 2.618 of 4.5 cent. Which is where our arrow is pointing to right now. Okay, so and the correction is going to be due. We don't move in straight lines. Basically, we're going to be looking for impulsive move right now to the upside. Okay, so if we go ahead and actually just show you what that might look like, we'll grab our impulsive moves. So basically, we're looking for this wave 1, which looks like we've completed. Come down in our ABC correction. Okay, well, how low this thing goes is going to be, the thing that's going to be up for debate, which will be wave 2. Then we'll surge up for wave 3. We'll pull back for wave 4, and then we'll complete with wave 5. Now, where these actually end up is something that we'll obviously have to review at a later stage. We'll do that on the smaller time frame in a moment. But for now, we'll analyze what's going on the smaller time frame after we have a look at the advice.io dashboard. So here, if you're unfamiliar, there's a link in the description down below. But advice.io use artificial intelligence and machine learning to help us understand the underlying value of cryptocurrencies. In this particular case, we're taking a look at MTV, and what we're going to do is we're going to see if there are any problems with that underlying data and if there's anything that we should be concerned with. Now, here for Multivac, we're a B1 rating overall, which means we're just short of that top tier. The best rating we've ever seen a cryptocurrency be given on this platform is an A2, and the best that is actually possible is A1. So we know that we're on the cusp of entering into the world of A3, and which would be the top tier level for cryptocurrencies. Now, as we come down, we get a little bit more information on what they call power factors. These are things like your Sharpe ratio, your fear and greed index, your Amihad ratio, moving averages, and profitability. Now, you get a rating for each of these as well, so you get broken down as to know what the sentiment is like with a fear and greed index. And for Multivac here, that fear and greed index is a C3 rating. Now, this is not the Bitcoin fear and greed index. This is the artificial intelligence machine learning basically deriving its own fear and greed index based on the data for Multivac. So it's specific to Multivac, and we can see that sentiment's actually increased a little bit. This was a rating of D, which was the worst it could be, and basically that was indicating that more people were willing to sell than to potentially buy MTV. Now we're actually starting to see some corrective move here, basically moving out of the extremely fearful area just to a fearful area. So again, we are looking to increase this a bit more, specifically as the time kind of progresses. But right now, we should be considered the fact that people are willing to sell MTV. We obviously see the correction that's going to be due on the daily. This could basically lead to that ABC correction wave. As we come across to the right-hand side here, we have a Sharpe ratio. Now the Sharpe ratio is your risk reward ratio, and right now this is an A2 rating. This is basically indicating to us that the rewards outweigh the risks, and therefore we might want to have some exposure to MTV. Now obviously when we have a fear and greed index that's in a fearful situation like this, and a Sharpe ratio that's actually indicating that we might want exposure, this basically tells me that I should be buying up the fear that's available to me. So again, I'm not a financial advisor, nor is Chris. It's important that you obviously do your own research. Using advice.io to do that research might just be something that you want to do. Here on this particular scenario, I can see that there is a lot of fear in the market for Multivac, and the Sharpe ratio that's in my favor, that is indicating to me that I might want to go ahead and buy up some of the fear during the next dip. Now, as I come on down, we have the Amihad ratio. The Amihad ratio is your liquidity. This is an A2 rating, so it means that buying and selling Multivac has absolutely fine. There's no issues whatsoever, and there's no restrictions on buying and selling right now. This basically means that we can see, the market pretty much be pretty fluid in terms of selling and buying of MTV. Over here on the right hand side, we have moving averages, an A2 rating. So again, no problem with any of that either. So the moving averages of the 10, 50 and 100 day are looking pretty good. As we come down, we have the profitability, and this is looking very good as well. An A1 rating, we can see a nice spike right now as the profitability continues to grow. So looking very, very good for Multivac here. So when we jump back to the charts, and on that note, we can see, of course, if we go ahead and actually pull this down to our current position here, that we have actually gained 16,558% in gains since I think it was March, which is usually the time that we look at. Yeah, March 2020. So significant gains have been made, much better than Bitcoin, Ethereum, a little bit better than ADA, but not as good as VeChain or Harmony. So it's right up there. It's a good performer for the portfolio, and I think we're going to do a much, much more in terms of gains in the very near future. So let's jump down into our hourly chart. And again, this actually then is where we can take a look at what's exactly been going on here with the recent pull up. Now here we can see that basically there was, this kind of top area that we were hitting yesterday. This basically came in at 2.8 cent, really trying to push our way through. We actually just came up yesterday to 2.9 cent, this morning to 2.9 cent before we started to see this pull back. Now the good news is that we can start to see this Stochastic Rsi working in our favor to a degree. We can see that we're heading towards our oversold area. So we are looking for an A, a B, and then a C, where we're looking to find support. So what we're going to do is grab our ABC correction here. So we are looking to complete this, and I think that we might actually pull back to our 2.4 cent, get the bounce for bait wave B, find the upper area of resistance approximately at 2.6, and then we might actually complete this ABC correction down at either 2.3 or even potentially 2.2, somewhere in that zone. I'll leave it up here and be positive for a change rather than pessimistic. So we are looking for an ABC correction. Hopefully this will be an opportunity to then basically buy and sell these bounces as we continue that growth to the upside. Once we complete the ABC, then we could potentially be on the horizon here for breaking through with another impulsive 5 impulsive moves to the upside, right? And again, these, I'm just going to put them roughly in some areas. Doesn't mean they're actually going to go to those areas there, but we'll analyze that in due course. So right now we are looking for that pullback. So the next question becomes, how far do we actually pull back to? Now we have got those supports and resistance lines there. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to take our surge here to the upside, and we're going to see actually how far things are potentially on the horizon looking to pull back to. So we could actually see this area here as our final area of C. Let me actually just get rid of those impulsive waves. So we could actually see us coming down to this 618, which would be 2.2 cent, okay, and coming down to the 702 or even the 786 at 2.1. These are areas, again, actually resonate quite well on this journey to the upside. We can find ourselves looking at some interesting zones. So I do think A is likely to bounce from our 2.4. Yeah, I'd say 2.4 is definitely looking like an interesting zone for us to be bouncing from. That's going to be our A. This is where we are right now. we should hopefully start to get a reversal from here, and then move up to B, and then pull back to C. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. We are dropping a little bit lower, so we'll have to see if they actually do if A goes down to 2.3, but we'll see if that breaks and holds that support. So this ABC is going to be perfectly fine. This is an opportunity to be had here before we continue this growth to the upside. And again, we are anticipating moving up very, very nicely as they continue this growth with Multivac. So when we come back into our daily, obviously talking about those price expectations, 4.5, 6.2, and 7.2 are on this particular Fibonacci retracement tool, and running from the high of April and the low of May. Over here, from previous all-time high and bear market low, we can see 9.2 cent. But again, with everything that's going on with Multivac, these fib levels are far too small, in my opinion, that we want to be kind of potentially thinking about maybe moving up to 30 cent or even potentially $1, depending on the kind of level of marketing and adoption that potentially could be seen with new exchange listings. Everything on the cards here for Multivac is looking very, very good. I think, in due course, we'll have some good kind of ways to analyze the market, but overall, everything's looking very good. Nice, healthy corrections are due, so nothing to worry about from that kind of perspective, and we'll continue this journey to the upside really shortly. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there, but if you have found it useful and informative, hit that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap that bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With this said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.